I have a gray base plate and a ton of parts, which just means it's finally time I can put together the second half of the Danger Room. I already kind of showed this off in my first video for it, but not a super hard build, but just a little bit of the process for it. Step one for a build like this is designing it in Bricklink Studio, just getting a general layout, and for this one specifically, I had to figure out how the two halves would combine, what parts might need to be shifted a bit to lock them together, and keep it actually as a solid cohesive part, even with the two different builds put together. And that helps me with ordering the parts, since I need to know how many of these pieces I need, and since they are bigger pieces, they end up being a little bit more expensive. So you get a little bit of Bricklink, a little bit of Pick-a-Brick, and got to balance the prices. So it's actually a pretty long process to buy the parts, but it helps a lot to design it ahead of time so I know I have the exact amount of pieces I need. The first step really is just making sure I have it all lined up. I need to get all of these pin tile pieces all the way around the perimeter where the walls are going to be, and I'm going to have to continue the black shape there, and I'm probably going to slide over these 6x6 tiles over to slide in a 2x6 on the other side to connect them. After this, just need to put the modified plate Technic type pieces all the way around there, and that's where the walls will connect. After getting the walls put together, sliding it closer, you can see I'm going to have to move some of these parts either over or just remove the ones that are overlapping, which was as I planned. You can see right there, this shape forms a full bit of the ground there now. And like I mentioned, for the parts used on the ground there, I use those because it makes it easier to take off the wall, and that is for traveling to shows. All you really have to do is just line up the Technic parts and push it down. And now with both walls attached, it's taking form as that corner of the Danger Room again. I removed all the tiles that I mentioned that would need to be moved in some way to have these combined together. And just sliding it over, probably attaching the back wall first is going to be helpful. When it's on a shelf like this, it's a little bit harder to reach around and press everything together. Probably a little bit easier to do this on a table or something. But like I planned, just taking the tiles, moving them over 2 spots, and combining that with some of the new pieces. And it'll just keep everything slightly fastened together where it's easy to take it apart for moving, like I mentioned. I want this to be as easy to collapse and put back together as possible. I won't completely fasten it together yet since I have a lot more of the design to put together still, but it'll be a pretty seamless transition between the two halves. Like the original build, I did leave some spaces open for some different traps and all that. I did put one together fully just to demonstrate that process again, where there's just some panels that'll pop out. One of the new ones is going to be the saw that comes out of the wall, so having a lot of fun with that. I do have that other one though that I'll need to figure out what I actually want to put into it. I'm also pretty happy that the saw blade fits perfectly and it's pretty easy to move, so you could quick slide it out if a character's flying by. Definitely gonna have to put somebody in this area on the wall there. Just like the other side, I just need to add some beams as well just to give it some strength, hold it together a little bit more, that way it won't flop around as much. It's just about finding that sweet spot where this lines up. I've got the whole thing decorated now, and this is really where the fun begins. You can see design philosophy stayed the same from this new half to the original. Lots of open studs all over the place for different figures. And I'm going to have to actually decide now what I want to do to decorate this whole empty space, since I'm thinking this left side, that'll be the Sentinel battle, and over here, maybe the Brotherhood in some way. And we'll see. I have a month. I might get more figures by then. So it really just comes down to how many figures I want to squeeze in, because if I get a Mr. Sinister, then I'd switch up where Cyclops is. And originally I had Wolverine in the hand there, and I have some other plans with him. So I'm thinking the only other really X-Men character that could handle being held by the Sentinel would be Rogue. So I think having Rogue in the Sentinel hand makes a lot of sense now, since Wolverine is going to be doing other stuff, and I think I'm going to do something a bit more funny and a bit more interesting with him. So she's going to stay there. I think same goes for like Nightcrawler. I think that's one of the characters that'll definitely stay in the same sort of quadrant, since the Sentinel blast was designed to work with his teleporting. Gonna keep him there, and I might tweak the BAMF effect a little bit. Same goes for the Sentinel. I think I might even try and do a version 2 of the character. I'm for sure going to change up the lighting on it and hopefully make the laser blast effect a little bit more interesting. So the character itself might move a little bit in the area rather than being right in the center. I have a little bit of space to move it this way, especially since Iceman is going to move to the other side now. And I'm just thinking I have all this open space now. I can use the KO Customs ice bridge. And it won't take up as much room as the other one. I kind of had to get it curving around the Sentinel so it wasn't taking up all the space. And with that, I think it'd be kind of funny, you know, the ice, it's going to be slippery. And that'll lead me to one of the characters that I haven't done a review yet of, but like I said, it's going to be the Brotherhood section, ice slippery, and Quicksilver running character, having him slip on a little bit of ice. New villain on this side of the danger room. And for other new characters that don't have reviews, I also picked up a Scarlet Witch and a Polaris. So all three of the Magneto alleged children. Not sure if I'm going to use Polaris as a villain or not, but Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, you know, those classic Brotherhood members. I'm going to have to flub the team a little bit since I don't have a lot more of those classic evil X-Men characters, but those two are a good start. And that's going to lead me to the big bad for this section of the danger room, which of course is going to be Magneto, who was absent from the last iteration of this build just because space constraints, and I thought one bad guy was good enough for just one corner, but we have a lot of room now, and I can go back and do some of the concepts I kind of planned for last year, making kind of a metal tornado. Again, another reason why I got cut was because I chose to do that with Storm instead, and Storm's cloud, something I'm going to improve on as well. I have some better ideas on how to do this so it's stronger. But we're going to have the big Magneto Brotherhood battle, like I already said. So that'll be kind of fun. And then the Sentinel battle over here. I'm thinking Storm's cloud will be in the middle-ish area here, so it's kind of a bigger build. And I'm thinking maybe with the trapdoor, it would be kind of fun to have some wires and stuff being pulled through by Magneto. Otherwise, my other idea was having a Sentinel hand coming through the wall. Let me know what you think. I might play with both. And this isn't going to be the last video. I'm not going to show off all of the final little details since I have a month. Lots of things are probably going to change from now to then, but giving you a basic layout. Very excited to have this other area to play in. In addition to changing up the lights on the Sentinel, I'm also going to light up the whole room with some spotlights somewhere. I have some ideas for the designs for that, bought the parts for it, and that's just because at Brickworld they do an event called Board of Lights where they turn off all the lights. You're supposed to light up your builds, and I just had the lights on the Sentinel and it just didn't light up the area as well as I would have liked it to. So it'll just be better to see the whole thing with lights and really just thinking about it for that scenario. Another fun detail I'm working on, since the professor will be up there, it would be pretty thematic to have him with his giant floating head. So I have a design for that, just got to get the parts, and he'll be communicating to the team, giving them directions and orders, but really love the concept of it. I think it'll look pretty good when I actually have all the parts together for it. And there's still some other parts of this I'm going to change up. Whether it is structurally, I might move around different floor parts so the characters can move around a little bit more. But let me know what you think. What do you like? What would you change? Any ideas for characters or scenes you'd like to see in the danger room? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more Lego X-Men or custom Lego videos overall, check out all the videos on my channel. I've been Brickworld. See you in the next video.